Welcome to Reckless, from Wildflower, Rooted and Reckless, the podcast where Angela Walker sets dumpster fires and lets her light shine. Unafraid of hard conversations, this is where perspectives are challenged, minds are opened, and respect is the rule. Because agree to disagree is more than a motto.
Welcome back to Reckless from the Wildflower, Rooted and Reckless podcast. I am Angela Walker, and that is my annoying bird, Mango, that I bought on a whim because something's wrong with me mentally, but it's fine. It's fine. So I have had a burning desire to tell this story. I don't know why it is festering inside of me the way that it is, but I just had to get it out. And what better place than Reckless? Some reckless ranting today. This is basically the story of the time a grown man, essentially a leader, slid out of his chair onto the floor, rolling around laughing at manatees. Yeah, manatees. Like the floating potatoes of the sea, gentle sea cows, the underwater Labradors of Florida. And while it was ridiculous and I guess somewhat funny on the surface level, it was the moment that I realized I did not want to be like him. So this episode isn't really about manatees, although I do love them. It is about the moment I realized that I was fighting to be somewhere that I was never meant to be. And that ridiculous, over-the-top, bully-style, hyena laughing, that was the mask slipping. It showed me everything I needed to know. And in that moment, I'm pretty sure that it was a huge stepping stone to me outgrowing pretending. So it's kind of like one of those shows, and it starts off and it's like, you're probably wondering how I got here. It's kind of like that. I joined this company. It was a financial services company. It was like a whole team vibe, and I found it through a friend. It was all super shiny, inspiring, change lives, build wealth, hustle, live free. You know the drill. You know the vibe. So I dove in head first. I studied, I took the courses, I got some licensing, I kept studying, kept taking tests. I wore the blazers and set my office up and scheduled all the appointments and went to all of the inspirational meetings and training sessions. I dove in head first. And I did love the heart of it. I love helping people. I love helping people feel secure. I like the premise of it. I agreed with the things that they were teaching. I certainly like talking about generational wealth and financial freedom and helping people to achieve those goals. But I just couldn't shake this imposter feeling. I felt like such a fake. Like there was something about it. It didn't make my heart sing. And I was really having to force my way through it and leaning so heavily into the idea of fake it until you make it. And it was very much like hustle, smile, post, repeat. Until one day I realized I had been hustling to sit at a table that doesn't even serve my type of meal. That is the setup for my manatee awakening. So fast forward, I got a spot for a retreat to a beautiful cabin up north. It was following a convention. I left my family, flew up north. Here's the thing. I am not knocking this company. If you know me and you know the company or you've figured it out through my cryptic details, then just understand I am not at all knocking the company. It is legit, and there are a lot of people that become successful through it. I'm just saying it wasn't my cup of tea and really highlighting the deal breaker for me. The scenery was incredible. The change of leaves as a Floridian was awe-inspiring. The people were wonderful and welcoming, and everybody was fantastic. Took me under their wing, showed me around, took care of me. I was home away from home, as they say, and it was really nice. Throughout the entire retreat, it was motivational. We had special guests there. There was so much friendship and camaraderie and motivation and inspiration and encouragement. It was fantastic. It was really uplifting and wholesome. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I know that people didn't love my snoring, but I enjoyed it greatly. We did a scavenger hunt, taught me a little bit about myself, some things I needed to work on, but it was a lot of fun. There was so much laughing, so much praise and worship, karaoke. Like, it was just such a good time. And then we got to the last night. And the last night, it got interesting. We started talking about the next convention. It was going to be in my home state of Florida. When I was looking up like the area, it talked about a manatee festival. And I didn't even realize we had a manatee festival. I love manatees. They're like my favorite animal. I have serious goals in life to have a manatee touch me because it's federally illegal to touch manatees. You're not allowed to touch manatees, but they're allowed to touch you. So there's that. They're just big, gentle, endangered giants. And I just love them. I don't know. I just think that they're fantastic. So anyway, I was kind of excited, like, oh, we have a manatee festival. Gosh, they'll probably have the streets shut down, you know? And this grown man who is, for all intents and purposes, supposed to be our leader, starts busting out laughing, slides out of his chair onto the floor, like semi-fetal position, rocking back and forth, face red, just absolutely losing his mind. And it's not the laughing, okay? I mean, maybe he really thought it was that funny. I don't know. It was the mockery behind it that just made me sick to my stomach. And it was looking around the room and seeing some of the people look at me and I think realize the inappropriateness of this entire situation, but laugh anyway because, well, this man always says, if you want to be successful, you look around the room and you pick the most successful person and you want to be like them. And in a lot of circumstances, like, he's referring to himself, and they wanted to be like him, so they laughed like him. And there was just probably one person who looked like they wanted to save me, but did not. I'm sitting there thinking, sir, like, calm down. It's not that funny. I mean, I honestly was in shock. I've never seen a grown man act that way. Even when it was that funny, it was just such a show. It was such a show. And it was embarrassing. I think I was like embarrassed for him. But in that moment, watching him made everything that felt kind of off or not sitting right, it just made it all make sense. And I realized that, like, this wasn't just laughter. This wasn't just mockery. This was straight ego in motion. Like, the mask was off. True colors were flying. It showed me loud and clear that my softness and my joy and my weirdness had no space at this table. And I just realized it wasn't anything that I was doing wrong or not doing enough of that was keeping me from fitting into this space. It was that I was trying to bloom in a space that was never meant for me. And isn't that something? You can work your tail off, fake it till you make it, smile, hustle, post, repeat, wear the things, do the things, say the things, and still, if it's not meant for you, you're not gonna make it. I used to think that belonging was about proving myself worthy. But the thing about belonging is you can't earn it. You either fit or you don't. I realized that night I didn't fit, but it wasn't because I wasn't capable. I just wasn't willing to dull myself or shrink myself to these standards. You can't hang out with people who roll their eyes at what lights you up and then expect to stay lit. It's just not going to work. So that trip taught me something for sure that no business training ever could. Sometimes the people who look the most successful are really the ones that are just the best at hiding their own emptiness. And that's not judgment, that's discernment. We're told, look around the room, find somebody successful, do what they do. But what if what they do makes your spirit cringe? So no, I didn't leave because of manatees, but yes, kind of because of manatees. Because when someone mocks what you love and everyone laughs along, that's not your people. That's not your tribe. That's your cue to pack up your flippers and swim away. When I got home, I didn't even tell my family what had happened. I just told them all the good parts of the trip, showed them all the beautiful pictures, but I was quietly done. Not in like a defeated type of way, but more of like a God gently blew out the candle type of way. And he said, that's enough performing. And what's wild is that a job offer came right after that, something that I had said no to a couple of times, but it was just the right day and the right time and the right set of circumstances. And I said yes. And I realized that sometimes losing your fire is God's way of putting out what was burning you out, burning you up. And so while I realized that the people that were there that night will probably never see this video or hear this podcast, I am glad to get it off my chest. The day the manatees freed me. And sometimes being reckless isn't about rebelling, making noise, being loud, and crashing out, as the kids say. Sometimes it is quietly walking away and recognizing what's not meant for you. I think if I could go back to that day, I would have said something. I probably would have said something like, you look stupid. Or like, what are you doing right now? Do you have like bugs on you or something? Like, what are you actually doing right now? You should be embarrassed of yourself. And I think the fact that I didn't stand up for myself was what really hit me the hardest. That in this room of people, not so much that nobody stood up for me, but that I wasn't capable of standing up for myself. It wasn't funny. It was hurtful. I tell my kids all the time when they make jokes that jokes are meant to be funny, not mean. Like people should be laughing at your jokes. If nobody's laughing, if you're the only one rolling around on the floor laughing, it's probably not funny. Just nobody has the heart to tell you. Nobody wants to ruin the vibe. Nobody wants to cause friction or have confrontation. And I let myself down on that one because I am not afraid of friction and confrontation. But in that moment, I couldn't even stand up for myself. I was just so worried about fitting in and belonging. And it was that plane ride home that I realized it was not my tribe, not my people, not my table to sit at. And I'm okay with that. It actually opened up doors to much better opportunities. So with that, don't ever let anybody dull your shine. Stay wild, stay rooted, and stay reckless, Wildflower.
You've been listening to a Wildflower Rooted and Reckless podcast production with Angela Walker. Catch Wildflower drops on Tuesdays, Rooted on Wednesdays, and Reckless on Thursdays. Subscribe wherever you listen. Stay wild, stay rooted, stay reckless.